Hey, what's going on, you guys? In this video, I'm going to be showing you a simple way to make an awesome thumbnail for your YouTube videos using Photoshop. Now, I know Photoshop can be a little bit intimidating because there's all kinds of features to it, but I'm going to show you a simple way to make a thumbnail for your video. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, I've done another video in the past on how you can make an awesome thumbnail for your YouTube video using a website called Canva, and I'll link that in the cards in this video. So as you can see, I have Photoshop open right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new file. So I'm going to click on new, and what I'm going to make the file size is 1920 by, I'm going to make it 1920 pixels by 1080. Now there's other preferences that some people might have, but this is what I like to use. And this is going to be the entire space of your YouTube thumbnail. So it's going to be in 300 resolutions, and it's going to be in RGB color. So I'm going to click OK, and that's going to be our canvas. Now, I'm not sure what kind of thumbnail you're trying to create for your video, but I'm going to be showing you a website that you can use to get royalty-free images for your thumbnail. So if we go over here to Google, we're going to type in a website called Unsplash. Now, this is basically a website where you can use royalty-free images for any purpose. So let's say, for example, I want to type in a picture of, let's say, the mountain, since it's right here in the backgrounds. So right here, as you can see, there's all kinds of different pictures that show up, and these are all free to use. You can download these for free, and I believe you have the option to donate to the publisher, but I mean, that's entirely up to you. So this one looks pretty cool. So yeah, I think I'm going to use this one. So save image as. You can also download it for free, but I just like to save image as. And then we're going to go back to Photoshop, and then we're going to place this. So click place, and we're going to place the one I just saved right here. And it's going to be right here. So just hit enter to place that in Photoshop. So as you can see, the picture is not the whole size of the canvas, so I'm going to have to resize this. So I'm going to click right here on the move tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift button, and then I'm going to expand this. Now you need to hold down the shift button if you want to have the picture proportionate, because if I don't hold down the shift button and I'm just moving the photo, it's not going to be proportionate. As you can see, like that, it's going to be all distorted. So hold down the shift. Let me go back. So hold down the shift button and then just resize the image. So I think that's big enough, and as you can see right there, it takes up the whole canvas. And all I have to do, if I want, is just to add some text. So let's say if I'm making a video about Mother Nature or mountains or nature scenery, I can just add maybe a text saying the best. You know what, let me adjust this actually. Okay, so let's see, adding text. I'm gonna make the font color white, and I'm gonna say the best mountains, I guess. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. So the text is obviously too big, so we're gonna do the same thing. Hold down the shift button and drag this to resize it to a smaller font. And as you can see right there, the best mountains. So okay, anytime you change something, you have to apply the transformation. So I'm gonna actually change the font. So I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna highlight the font. This is the name of the font that I'm currently using. If I just hit the arrow up or down button, it's gonna go through the different fonts that I have. So I'm gonna just scroll through them and see which ones I like best. I'll stick with this one because I'm not gonna actually use this thumbnail. So the best mountains. And it looks okay. I can actually just use this if I wanted to create a thumbnail that's kind of, if this is what my video is related to. But what I want to do is actually make this text a little bit make it stand out a little bit more. So I'm gonna click on the text. Maybe let's say I don't want the text to be white, I want it to be black. So I'm gonna just highlight it, and then I'm gonna choose any color I want. As you can see, you have the different color options right here. You can pick any color that you want under the sun, but I'm gonna just make that text black. Now you're probably thinking like, oh, well, now you can't even see it. Well, what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna add an effect to it. So I'm gonna click right here, add a layer style, and I'm gonna click outer glow. So right here. So as you can see, this little window pops up, and I can actually make the outside of this text glow. So I'm gonna bring the opacity up. Now I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little glowing I guess element outside of the text, and you can kind of play with it to see how you want it to, how much glow that you want to add to your text. So you can move up the size, can make it bigger, and then the spread. So as you can see, the more that you add, the more that the text stands out. So I mean, I don't like to go too crazy with it. I just like to make it nice and subtle, but not over the top. So I'm gonna bump it down actually. So maybe like this. So I like the way that looks. So I'm gonna just press OK. So if I wanted to go with that, I mean, this looks pretty good already. So what you can also do is you can add more saturation to the thumbnail to make it really stand out, because most people who have good looking thumbnails, they add a lot of saturation so the colors really pop, so it'll grab people's attention while they're scrolling through YouTube. So I'm actually gonna put this all on one layer. So as you can see, these are all different layers. So if I were to click this little eyeball off, that's the text layer. So that hides the text. And then this one is the background layer, or the photo of the mountain. So as you can see, these are both different layers. So I'm gonna actually create a new layer right here by clicking on this little page icon. So I'm going to put both of these layers on one new layer. So the way you do that is by hitting Command, Option, Shift, and then the E button. Now they're all on one layer. So this is, I'm using a Mac, by the way, so it's probably going to be different if you're using a PC. I believe if you're using a PC, it's going to be Command, Alt, Shift, and then the letter E. So now this is all one layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on right here, levels, and what this actually is you can adjust the colors in this picture. So this one right here on the far left is your dark colors. So if you move this over, it's going to make the darks darker. As you can see right there, it gets a lot darker. So I'm going to just make the darks a little bit darker. And then right here is the light colors. So it makes the light colors even lighter. So it really stands out. And also the vibrance. So you might not be able to tell too much, but the higher you put this, the more vibrant the picture is going to look. If you bring it all the way down, it's going to look a little bit dull. See, it looks kind of like black and white almost. So I'm going to just bring up the vibrance a little bit. And I'm also going to bring up the saturation. Now you can go and play with this however you want. This is the hue, so this is going to be affecting the actual color of your image. So if I were to bring this all the way up, you're going to see the sky changing like to a purplish color, and it just changes the color scheme of the image. So if I bring it all the way down, see, it's a completely different color, which is pretty cool. You know, I might just actually leave it like this just for the sake of this video. Now the saturation is going to make your colors stand out even more. So if I bring the saturation down, now the image is in black and white, and this is how it is regular. Now if I bring it up, you're gonna see these colors pop even more. So as you can see, that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna show you how it is before I added these filters compared to now. So this is with all the filters off. So this is the image with just the text and the outer glow applied to the text, and this is with all the filters, so you can see there's a big difference. So that's basically how you can make an awesome looking thumbnail for your YouTube video. So this is the basics on how you can make an awesome thumbnail using Photoshop for a YouTube video. But let's say that I wanted to add myself in the thumbnail. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. It's going to be a little bit more complicated, but if you take your time and practice, you can get the hang of it. So what I'm going to do is open a new file. So I'm going to click on new. And right here, the presets are the same. 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. 300 resolution RGB color. So I'm going to hit OK. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add myself. So I'm going to look for a picture of me. Let's say this one right here. So there I am, my handsome self. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually outline myself, and I'm going to remove the entire background. So this is where you're going to use the pen tool. Now, the pen tool can be a little bit tricky, but if you practice with it, you can learn how to master the pen tool. I'm not saying that I've mastered the pen tool, but I know enough where I'm able to use it. So right here, click on the pen tool, and I'm going to actually zoom in and outline myself so I can remove the background. So you might want to take your time with this. Like I said, practice it and you can learn how to master it. So I'm going to just outline myself real quick. Alright, so I pretty much outlined myself. As you can see, if I zoom out, I got all these dots around me. So the only thing I have to do now is just basically connect the dots to make the outline complete. So right here, this is my starting point right here. Let me zoom in. So this is going to be my starting point, and this is going to be the last dot that I just made. So all I have to do is just connect them, and then now it's connected. So I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click on make selection. So right there, I'm going to leave this alone. Just press OK. So now, as you can see, if I zoom out, you're going to see a dotted line around my whole body. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a layer mask. So I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but right here, I'm going to click right here, add a layer mask. And that's going to add a new little element right here. So I basically have a shape around my body. So what you have to do is click right here on this shape, not this part right here, but the shape, and you're going to bring it down to the original picture of yourself, if this is what you're trying to do. Let it go, and now you just outlined your body and you remove the background. So this shape right here we no longer need, so we can bring that down to the trash. No, let me see if I can bring this up a little bit. Okay, so now I can place any background that I want to. So I can be pointing at the mountains, Mount Rushmore. I can point at Area 51. Anything that I want to. So, and if I want to resize this, I just click on this layer, and same thing, hold down the shift button and drag it to whatever size that I want to make it. So it's pretty simple. So let's say, let me think, what kind of background do I want to put myself on? Alright, you guys, so I found an image that I want to use as the background, and I'm gonna go ahead and place that right now. So I actually took an image of the gates, outside the gates of Area 51. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that, press enter. Now as you can see, it's overlapping the picture of me. So all you have to do is just click on this layer and then drag it down so I'm on top of that layer. And then I'm gonna resize this image of Area 51 and click enter. So now it looks like I'm standing outside the gates of Area 51. So I'm gonna just move myself over and I'm going to add an outer glow to myself like I mentioned in the last example. So I'm gonna bring the opacity up. So if you don't know what the opacity is, it's basically the transparency. So the more opacity that you have, it's basically your there's no transparency at all. And if there's 0 opacity, that means it's like it doesn't even, you won't even be able to see it. So I always bring the opacity up, and I'm gonna bring up the size and then the spread. So as you can see, it's like full opacity. If I bring it down to 0, you're not gonna see it at all. So I always bring it at 100%. Now I can leave this like this, but I might add something else to it. So let me see what I can add. Alright, so I found another thing that I can add to this picture. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that. So since I'm doing an example of a thumbnail for Area 51, I'm gonna go ahead and place this alien dude right here. So as you can see, it has a white background, but I'm gonna show you guys how to remove that. So I'm gonna hit enter to place this file, and I'm gonna go over here and click on the magic wand tool, and I'm gonna click on the white. So basically everything that is white in this picture is selected. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase that by clicking on the eraser tool right here. So right here, if I click on that, it says I have to rasterize the object. So just click OK, so it'll automatically rasterize it, and then I can start to erase the background. So I'm gonna bring my brush up, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and erase that. And pretty much most of it is erased, but there's a little bit of white that is left over, if you can see that. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my magic wand tool and select this area. So by the way, if you're wondering why I'm using the magic wand tool, it's basically to select only the things that I want to erase. If I didn't have the magic wand tool selected and I just erase this, it's going to erase parts of this guy that I don't want to erase. So I'm going to just go ahead and go back to history and restore that. Okay, so now I'm going to have this guy maybe standing behind the gates. Hit the shift button to resize him to make him look smaller, so it looks like he's further in the distance. And now as you can see, it looks like he's standing in front of this little barricade right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to erase his middle section, so it looks like he's standing behind this barrier. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my eraser tool. Now the brush is way too big, so I'm gonna knock that down a little bit. So I'm gonna erase the part where he's in front of the barrier. And so I think that's good enough. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna give this alien guy an outer glow, so it looks like he's from another planet or something. So instead of giving him a white outer glow, I'm gonna give him, let's say, a green one. So in order to change colors, all you have to do is just click on this little square right here, and then you can just go through the different colors and pick which one you want to go with. So let's say I'm gonna pick green, and then I'm gonna make him like really glowing. So for some reason his bottom half is only glowing, but I mean, okay, I see. You can't really see his top half because it's against a light background, but I mean that's good enough. So I'm gonna just give this a little bit of text. Make a custom thumbnail. So I'm gonna bring this down because the text is way too big. Once again, just hold down the shift button and then just resize the text. Make a custom. And then thumbnail. Thumbnail. Hit enter. Make a custom thumbnail. So that looks good right there. I'm gonna just edit the text a little bit. So maybe I might just change the font. Or you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just change the color of the font on this top part right here. Make that a white color. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for this top line right here. Make that a white color. And what I'm actually gonna do, because I know that it's a white font against a light blue sky, so I'm gonna add a stroke to that. So basically this is gonna be like the border around the text. So if I bring up this, you're gonna see the thick line around the text is getting bigger and bigger. And if you want to make it really ridiculous, you can make it look like that, or you can just bring it down. So I'm gonna make it a little bit subtle, maybe like that, 21. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the word thumbnail right here. So if you see right here, the stroke is selected, and right here this word thumbnail. If you want to use the same settings for the stroke, all you have to do is go right here where it says stroke. You hold down the option key if you're on a Mac, and if you're on PC, I believe it's the alt key. You hold that down and then you just drag this up to the word thumbnail, and now you have the same thing applied. Make a custom thumbnail with Photoshop. Now as you can see right here, the bottom line is in black and it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to make that a white color, but I think I'm going to change the text as well. So let's see, I'm going to change the text and see which one I want to use. So I'm going to do the same thing, highlight the font, and then I'm going to just scroll through to see which one I want to use. So I think I'm going to just use this font right here. And then I'm going to apply the same effect. I'm going to use the same stroke that I used for these two lines. So I'm going to go over to this one, hover over the stroke. I'm going to hold down the option key or the alt key if you're on a PC. Hold it down, click on the stroke, and then I'm going to just bring this up to where it says with Photoshop. And now you got the same effect applied. So that's basically it. I'm going to just add this all on one layer because as you can see, these are all different layers. So if I click on the eyeball, you're going to see this disappear. This is a different layer. This is a different layer. See, this is a different layer. Even this green alien guy, that's a different layer. So I'm going to just add a new layer by clicking on this this page icon. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Hit Command, Alt, Shift, and the letter E. So if you're on a PC, I believe it's Command, Alt, Shift, and E. If you're on a Mac, it's going to be Command, Option, Shift, and the letter E. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just use the same filters that I used in the last example. I'm going to just bring up the levels. I'm going to make the darks a little bit darker. Make the lights lighter. And then I'm going to add more vibrance to it so it really stands out. And I might just play with the hue right here. So since it's an alien, maybe I want the alien to be green. I'm gonna say I don't want to look like I'm from outer space either. So I'm gonna just bring up the saturation, and that's basically it. So I mean, that's basically it. The only thing to do now is to save the file. So if you want to save it, all you have to do is just click right here on File, and then you're gonna click Save As. So I can name this whatever, thumbnail. I'm gonna just name it thumbnail for this example. You can choose where you want to save it, your desktop, your downloads, anywhere of basically you choose where you want to save it. And then if you want to use this for a YouTube thumbnail, you can either save this as a JPEG or a PNG file. If you save it as a Photoshop file, it's not gonna work because YouTube would not be able to read it. A Photoshop file is only able to be read in the Photoshop program. So I'm gonna save this as a PNG file. So save and then click OK, and then we're done. So that's basically how you can make an awesome looking thumbnail using Photoshop. I showed you the basic way just to give you an example of how easy it can be, or if you want to get more creative and more in detail, I mean, this is how you can also do it. But like I mentioned, if you don't have Photoshop, I've done another video on how you can make an awesome looking thumbnail with a website called canva.com, and I'll leave a card in this video if you want to watch that video. But it's basically, I combine how you can make a free thumbnail using canva.com, and I also give you an example of how you can make a thumbnail using Photoshop. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys learned something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about this video. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.